Hey there, true believers, and welcome back once again to another and the continuation of the last 3 days of drawing Stan Lee. And as always, guys, don't forget that I will be digitizing this afterwards. And once I've colored this, I will take it over to my free app called Critter. There are many videos out there if you want to check out the Critter file and the digital drawing. Then all you got to do is put me in the corner and scroll down through my page and check out what else I've got going on. But as always, my name is Blut084, BLUT 084. Art and games here every day on YouTube, occasionally on Mixer, and every day and night, overnight, over on Instagram. Same name, different place. But that's enough of me waffling on. Let's explain to you what I've done so far, so you're up to date and you know where and how I've done this piece and why I done this piece. There is more explanation on the feelings and everything that obviously has been sort of hit me hard and hit a lot of fans of Stan Lee and his literature throughout many, well, I don't know how many years it's been too many to count really, and the appearances he's had. And I thought it was only just to sort of suspend what I normally would be doing, which this month is fire and fireworks. And I am going to be continuing that next week. If you want to check out the first video, that is, again, down in the playlist on fire and fireworks. But check out last month's for most of my art, which is where I really start cracking on with the author that I'm working with. And hopefully she'll join us again today in the comment section, which is over there. If you guys want to hit me up to leave a message, all you got to do is say hi in the chat. But yeah, like I said, we've obviously everybody must have heard by now, and all the fans that have done their homages. I'm still doing mine, as I do always take 3 or 4 days to get a hold of my images done. I have sketched this in pencil first before I got to this stage, and yeah. I've loved doing this one. At the very beginning, I felt very upset. So I just thought, you know what? Instead of getting really upset about it and just not generally depression hit me. I don't know about you guys, but depression is one of those bad things. Most artists seems to have. And it got things get to me. And I thought, instead of this getting to me and what he's done for me throughout the years and taught me so many different things, is I'm going to draw Stan Lee, and that's what I've done. Again, I did it all in pencil, and after I do everything in pencil, I use these pencils here, General Pack. You can see my video and which ones I use on different pictures and different occasions. I do occasionally use pencils. And today I will be using these ones here. Ignore that sticker there. I'll be using these ones. These are Art Makers Boldmere. They have two end pens. One's a brush pen and one's just like a nibby end, like a felt tip. I kind of like them, to be honest with you guys, and they're not bad for cheap ones, to be honest. And I'll be continuing on colouring in these up here with those. And as always, like I said, guys, I pencil, then I ink it with my favorite ink pen, which hasn't run out in about 10 years of using it. And hopefully it never will, because it's my favorite one. But I will, the pens and colouring, I will, on this face, I think I'll be using pencil, because I don't think the felt tips will actually give me a good enough colouring, or the colours may be slightly sort of not the right shade, because I know the shades, you can't really get a good shade of skin, and I don't want to make him orange, because he obviously isn't orange. I do have a skin type color here, but it's a bit too orange, so I won't be using that one either. I will be using pencil. I may outline his glasses and maybe give his shade of his eyes in pen, but again, I think I'll get a better effect with pencils. The colouring of the wording, which you can see down here, Excelsior. As you can see here, Excelsior. I will be using my pens for that one and the writing here, and finishing off this hammer here. I did start it yesterday, so if you want to check out the inking stage of it, or if you want to check out the pencil stage, definitely go check out the playlist for that. But that's enough of me waffling on. Let's get some art done. And as always, guys, I will be listening to Comic Storian in the background, and the stories that Stanley's has done in the past. They are brilliant, and if you want to link, guys, let me know in the comment section, or just say hi, and we'll have a chat about things.
Okay, welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read each dramatic to all of the versions, the panels, text, and images are to prevent.
If I don't talk too much, guys, it's purely because I'm concentrating, and sometimes if I talk, I make mistakes. So if I'm not talking, it's purely because I don't want to make a mistake and go offline or things like that.
Because this is where his GPS last left off. She knocks at the guards surrounding the building and she sneaks into it. But inside, things are a little dark as she walks through it. And that's when suddenly a giant boar man attacks her. Misty begins to fight back, but that's when she hears someone telling her to let him go. Misty asks if that was Sam, and he tells her yes. But before she can turn on the lights, he tells her he really doesn't want to hear it. She then turns on the lights and says, "Oh my," and Sam stops her there. He didn't want to hear it, but Catwolf is back. Earlier, Sam was investigating the call that he received about a missing person in her last adventure. Recently, Sam learned of a hate group called the Sons of the Serpents, and learned that they had been abducting people for illegal genetic experiments. Carrying out those experiments was Dr. Carl Malice.
I'm going to make a quick Instagram post, guys. So if you want to hit me up over there, it is Blut084, BLUT 084.
And Malice tells him that hell is just a state of mind that is different for everyone. Let him show Sam what his is as he morphs into something else, a symbiote of sorts. Malice jumps at Sam as Sam is thinking that he should team up with Spider-Man more often, and then he manages to kick Malice away. But as they continue to fight, Redwing flies in to distract Malice. But Malice tells Sam that Redwing will make a fine addition to his collection, distracting Sam. And at that moment, Malice begins to choke him, telling him that he has a good idea for a species that he can test merging Sam with. And that's when everything goes to black as Sam fades out. When Sam wakes up, the only thing that he can say is, "Oh, come on, man." After Misty rescues him and makes a ton of teen werewolf movie jokes, Sam tells her that Malice took Redwing and they need to get him back, which is easy for Sam because he's got a psychic bond with his bird Redwing. Malice begins moving his equipment into a new lab, and that's the moment that Sam and Misty come crashing through the windows. Malice lets out all of his experiments to try and capture Sam again, but as Sam and Misty begin to fight, Sam tells Malice that he made a big mistake. That symbiote that he put on himself has a weakness.
And as I'm live, guys, there may be a slight bit of buff, so if there is, stay tuned and it will sort itself out in a couple of seconds or so. But if you're watching back, thank you very much for doing that, guys. And that video and this video will not have any buff, and it won't have any issues if you are checking back, so don't worry about that.
Malice used Raheem and Redwing to experiment on them, turning Raheem into a weird bird-like human being. Back at Sam's base, he tells Mrs. Torrance that he did find Raheem, but he looks a little different, so for a little while, they're going to be looking after him here at Sam's base. Misty tells Sam that she knows that they're working on the boy's condition, but what is the situation with that? Sam tells her that these mutations are temporary, but for how long, no one knows. And that's when Dennis chimes in, stating that he thinks that it all looks badass. Sam starts to tell him that Malice isn't saying much, but he does know that someone was paying Malice to do these experiments, and that's when he starts scratching himself. Misty begins to ask what he's doing, but that's when she realizes that Sam has fleas. She's so sending pictures of this to all of the Avengers. But before long, they're interrupted by the Whisperer. This is the individual that was stealing government secrets and putting them out for the world to see that Sam has been working with, putting him at odds with Maria Hill and S.H.I.E.L.D. Whisperer tells Sam that he's had a chance to look through Malice's computers, and he found out that the organization behind Malice was a group from the cosmetics industry known as...
Just going to quickly send out, so keep listening to that playlist, guys, and hopefully you enjoy that in the background. If you do, and you want any particular hero of your own, let me know, and I'll get that up going as well. In fact, I'm going to put that in the chat as well, so if you guys do want to hear a particular hero of your own that Stan has brought to life, then... Just ask, guys, and I'll find that up for you. Some are a bit tricky to find, but most are up on the comic story, so I can find that pretty easy for you.
Bark at people, eat garbage, and at times he's howling at the moon. He goes to see a doctor about it, but the only answer is that all of this is temporary. But the doctor does take the time to inform him that for Joaquin, the effects are a little more permanent. You see, Malice's experiments on Joaquin were using Redwing. Redwing is part vampiric ever since he was bitten by Baron Blood. So Joaquin has gained the regeneration trait out of Redwing's vampire DNA, making the effects on Joaquin not temporary. Sam worries that Joaquin might be a bit shaken up by this news, and the doctor tells him that he really learned that he could fly with those wings. But before Sam can deal with that, he has other problems to worry about, such as the Serpent Society, or whatever they're called now. So he needs to get an insider's perspective, and that's when he contacts Diamondback, a former friend of his named Rachel. Rachel tells him that he's not at this club for a dance, and she's pretty sure that if she did give him a dance, it'd be a little illegal in his current state. The two of them go out for breakfast, and Sam asks how things have been, and she tells him that it's been a bit hard to do good mercenary work. Too many people are now doing it, so she had to go back to her old job. The tips are good, and it's nice not having someone try and kill her. Rachel goes on to ask if Jordan Strike is really back leading the Serpent, because if he is, he's not really a pushover, so Sam needs to be careful. Sam tells her that everyone's been saying that, and he can't figure out why. Just as a semi-truck comes crashing into the building. Out of the back of the truck, members of the Serpent Society begin to jump out, and Rachel tells Sam that the whole thing about missing this awesome action, she was kind of lying, and he tells her he figured. They jump in to begin fighting, kicking and kneeing until Rachel gets stabbed. Sam thinks to himself that this isn't supposed to happen, but now he begins to feel the wolf inside of him taking over, and he sure as hell isn't going to fight those urges. He begins to cut and slash everyone until they fall, and that's when he goes to check on Rachel. But when he does, Rachel tells him that she's sorry, and she stabs him. The tip of that dagger was poisoned. But when Sam comes to, he can see someone, and that someone is Viper at the end of a very long table, and Sam is chained to a chair. A while back, Frank and Rachel used to live together, but it wouldn't last. Frank became ill, and neither Frank nor Rachel could afford the treatments. Rachel tried to make money, but soon after, Frank passed away. With nothing else, Rachel was unable to find work, so she went to what would make her money, dancing. That is, until she heard a familiar voice. The Viper gave her an offer to come back, informing her that the life she now has probably isn't working for her, and she agreed. But back to our current situation, Viper tells Sam that he shouldn't try and get up. That poison is preventing him from being able to move. Viper then goes on to tell Sam his plan. Sam Wilson is bad for the economy. Sam Wilson wants to unite people. Equality for everyone. But what about those who work hard? Those with great success should keep what's theirs, not hand it out. Someone has to make America marvelous again. And Viper is just the supervillain in the snake suit to do it. But down below, Misty Knight is checking into this corporation. She wants to go ahead and find and fight the Serpent Society. The guard up front tells her to go ahead and sign in. They're all on the top floor, but someone will come down and get her. Up on the top floor, Sam asks if he should tell Viper what he thinks, and Viper tells him, by all means, we value feedback. I'll send you a link to our Survey Monkey page. Sam tells him that everything he's saying, everything he's doing, isn't for the betterment of the country. He's just a second-rate huckster trying to make money. Viper gets up and he asks Sam, what does he think drives this whole thing? Fear? With that, people will buy anything. With nothing, no money is to be made. And that's when it hits him. Captain America is so cool flying around. That's because he has that machine on his back. What happens if Viper takes away the machine? He then turns Sam to face the window and he pushes him closer, telling him, thankfully, he doesn't have to sell anything. He just has to face his fears. Rachel gets up and tells Viper that killing Sam was not a part of the deal. And Viper tells her, no one reads the fine print. And I'm not going to kill him anyway. The ground will do that. Viper then pushes Sam through the window. Back at Sam's base, Joaquin senses something. Sam is in trouble because of Malice's experiment using Redwing. Joaquin is now able to sense when Sam is in trouble, seeing glimpses of Sam calling out for Redwing. Joaquin tells Dennis they need to go. Sam's in trouble, but Dennis tells him he's fine. Missy is on her way to save him. Joaquin is cuffed to his bed because he wanted to go out and fly, and they didn't trust that. So he begins to pull his hand through the cuff, pulling off his own skin. But thanks to his healing factor, it heals back quickly, and he takes off out the window. As Sam begins to fall and Misty finds herself becoming overwhelmed, Joaquin flies in fast and hard. He owes it to Sam and Misty for getting him out of that lab.
So guys, these got two sides. They've got a brush pen side, and as you can see here, you've got a brush pen. So you've got, a felt tip side. So you got a thing for like brush.
Realizes that Sam was saying behind you. That's when they see the villains are ready to fight.
And my hands don't work properly, so
asks him what he should do. What do you think?
Mistake and
Run, Sam tells him. Joaquin tries to get away, and Sam thinks that maybe he can send out psychic messages due to the shared bond that he has with Redwing. Then Joaquin would have a fighting chance. Joaquin begins to try and fight back, but it's only a matter of time, and he's still new. The Serpent has the numbers. So Akeem gets caught and slammed down into the ground, and one of the villains gets ready to bite down on his head. Rachel calls out, telling him to stop, but it's too late. All Sam can do is think to himself, they are monsters, they killed him, and all I can do is sit here. And that's when he remembers the kid has a healing factor. Joaquin jumps back up into the fight, but this time, Rachel is there to help him. And she's not the only one. Misty Knight has come to the rescue. Viper looks down at Sam and he tells him it doesn't matter. I can still finish you off. But Sam tells him that Misty isn't the only backup. Can you hear what Sam is hearing? What is that? Credence. Dennis comes barreling through on a dune buggy, shooting up everyone. Woo, yeah! Take that, you snake bastards! After all the explosions, Viper tries to walk away. He can be successful next time, but that's when he gets hit in the head with a shield. Missy is beginning to think that Sam was just faking being paralyzed, but Sam tells her that she's always complaining. He hogged all of the action, so, Misty goes on to say that she did enjoy the fight. She was kind of like that chick in the Matrix, but she's guessing that they're done now. Sam tells her not quite. Later, over in an office, Sam and Joaquin fly through it, dropping Viper off in a meeting that some people were having. These are the people that Viper was working with. So Sam tells them to skip over the part where Viper was getting them lots of money, and they pretend that they didn't know what Viper was doing, and especially the part where they say they won't do it again. He's just going to arrest them all now. Because you see, the guy he works with, the Whisperer, has already pulled all of the evidence that they need to bring down everyone in this room. One of the men tries to tell Sam that they built their companies through hard work, and because of how much money they do make, arresting them would just bring the whole economy down with them. Sam tries to think about how this would affect everyone else. The loss of jobs, the loss of money, everything would collapse.
Okay. I'm going to get
but everyone else will buy all of the man's
my inking pen and
has employed, and if they don't, he'll come back for them. A lot of people would be calling Sam a sellout for letting the others go, but everyone is distracted with other things, like the papers. Instead of Sam,
I'm going to get my inking pen
society, they want to talk about all of these pictures with Rachel. Speaking of her,
and
where did
do
she
this
go?
piece here.
She snuck off after the fight. Dennis tells Sam to just look on the bright side. At least he's not a werewolf anymore.
I've done a circle's a bit crap, but it is freehand, and I didn't stencil that one out as much as I did this one here.
Sam asks, where did Red Ring go? And Dennis tells him that was another surprise, so don't be mad. And that's when Sam can hear another voice. Why would he be mad? You gotta be kidding me, Sam says. Say hello to the new Falcon, Joaquin says. Ha! He stole your thing, and your bird, Misty tells him. The next adventure for Sam Wilson, Captain America, is Avengers Standoff, which is going to explain a few things about Steve Rogers. So I hope you're excited for that. And I'll see you next time right here. Don't forget, if you want manga, we do have Manga Story now, where we bring you manga stories every Monday and Friday. You can find the link to that down below, along with our gaming channel, Eligible Monster, where we bring you video game comic books every Friday. I'll see you guys next time right here.
Right, I said my inking pen. Let's find that one. We've now got coming up Captain America Sam Wilson. Oh no, the next one, that was the one we just listened to, which is the new Captain America. Falcon obviously took over in the comics.
What if there was an ultimate plan to imprison villains? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. And then I ready dramatically back to you all alterations of the panel section, images, art, prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. This is Avengers Standoff. It was a massive crossover involving every Avengers book, but oddly enough, most of the crossover stories were about the other teams and what they did, and less about the overall story. So to focus on the story, we're going to be telling you what happened to Steve Rogers, Sam Wilson, Winter Soldier, and Kovic. The rest of the teams involved I'll mention when they arrive, and I'll give you a complete reading list down below if you want to see what they all did. And yes, this does lead into the current Steve Rogers storyline. For those of you who have been out of the loop, Steve Rogers had the super soldier serum removed from his body, and he became an elderly man before.
I think sometimes when you go around stuff again, it gives it more pop and it stands out a little bit more, so that's what I do quickly.
And he's relieved to be back on the planet Earth. He is the man on the wall, charged with protecting the Earth from cosmic level events, and while this typically takes.
But if there's a character here that I've missed out, guys, or a character or a team that I've missed out here, guys, let me know in the comment section.
Steve Rogers, and he tells the systems to play back the event that happened.
And I'll add it in,
That's when he sees
because I won't be giving it a background color until the very, very end.
And then he watches as something went horribly wrong. The cube exploded, killing everyone in the room. And in its place, a little girl stood there. Then a bunch of agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. shouted out for Bucky to freeze, and the playback stops. They hit him, and he blacks out. Recently, S.H.I.E.L.D. was accused of wanting to use the Cosmic Cube to rewrite an individual's history. It wouldn't brainwash them. They would use the cube itself to completely
crack, but anyway, that'll do. Like I said, I didn't stencil that circle out like I did on the Fantastic Four.
The prisoners wouldn't even be aware that they were in a prison. Maria Hill's proposal was found out and made public, and they had to stop the plan.
That's the wrong blue. Let's get some blue from over here. Using my pens, you can get these from the local hobby shop quite cheaply, and that's probably why they don't work better. Well, they work fine actually. Not so much. They don't work bad. They just don't work as well as my brush pens that I do normally have, which are these here. Again, I might actually see what these best brush pens actually like. You've got your brush pens. The actual brush pens, and as you can see, that will bend like a paintbrush. Whereas you get felt tip, which is what these basically are. It should bend, but it's not bending that well. It will bend, but just not too well. That's actually not the brush end. What an idiot! That was the felt tip end. It's double-ended, as you can see. That should bend, and I think over time it will bend.
She explains that the doctor brought him here after he fell. She thinks that he just needs a little fresh air to clear his head.
My voice is around the town completely. Voice is going a little bit, so I apologize for any kind of thing like that.
Nowhere, perfect, happy, and no one here is worried about anything.
Yeah, that brush pen's running out. Most of my brush pens running out, which is why I went and got some new ones.
But that's when the police begin to chase him. He drives the car off of a cliff and into a ditch, and then he gets up and he begins to run off into the forest until he hits a force field, and he sees a device with a Stark logo on it. Then the police catch up and shock him. He wakes back up in the doctor's office and he finds himself restrained, but it's only temporary. He begins seeing the town psychiatrist and the other individuals, and he begins to figure out things. First off, he can't escape. Secondly, this is his home, and he can be happy here. On day 36, he was walking through the town when he saw a fire, and a woman calls out that her baby is inside, so he runs inside to save her. But when he comes back out, he realizes that someone else is inside of the building, and he runs in to find a man with a handkerchief over his face. The man tells him that he needs to know the truth of this place, which confuses our blonde-haired mystery man even further. What's the truth? He's home. But the man in the mask tells him that they can't keep him prisoner here for long, and when he's ready to learn the truth of it all, come to the basement of the bed and breakfast. So on day 40, he decides to have a look, and when he gets into the tunnel, he finds the man that started the fire once again. Our mystery blonde-haired man asks him who he really is, and he tells him, another prisoner like him. He then shows the blonde man a device, one that will remove the change that has been placed upon him, and show them who they really are. A green light pours over our two mystery men, and they change into Baron Zemo and the Fixer, and they remember everything. Now Zemo would like to know more about this cosmically powered child. So where did the Winter Soldier go? Well, he went to inform Steve Rogers of what had happened, that the Cosmic Cube had been broken. He then gave Steve the location where the cube had been moved to, and Steve wasn't too happy about it. He went to go see Maria.
Yeah, I'm not happy with that.
Falcon currently acting as Captain
I know what I've just done.
The Whisperer, who is actually Rick Jones. Whisperer is the one that revealed to the world Maria's plans. It started this rift between Steve, Falcon, and S.H.I.E.L.D. Just as the Whisperer gives Captain America the location that the cube is supposedly at, they find themselves surrounded by S.H.I.E.L.D. once again. Maria, meanwhile, has brought Steve to Pleasant Hill and introduces him to the most secure prison in the world. The individuals brought here are completely changed.
I'm going to have to get some white out. I can't rub that out. What an idiot. Okay, guys, what I've just been absolute dumbass and done because I'm trying to rush this on. I've gone and painted this here. Sorry, not painted. Actually, I could probably paint it over that in white. I'll do. That should be white, and this
what's going on. That Kobik is literally rewriting reality and changing it. Some of the townsfolk are getting wise to the situation. They are sneaking around and
I'm gonna have to wait for that
where Baron Zemo is freeing them of the changes that Kobik has made them into. Maria Hill and Steve continue to argue over the best course of action to discuss how Bucky Barnes is currently en route to kill this child, or at least that's what Maria is assuming Bucky is doing. He is the Winter Soldier, and that's when one of the residents in the town walks in demanding to speak to the mayor, so he can blow up in their faces. All over town, people begin waking up and they realize what S.H.I.E.L.D. did to them, imprisoned them in this place, took away their history, their lives, their memories. And as Steve hits the deck dodging the explosion, he calls in Unity for backup, one of the Avengers teams. And Baron Zemo invites it. The more the merrier. Meanwhile, Sam Wilson arrives at the location that the Whisperer gave to him, only to come face to face with another individual that decided to finally arrive, the Winter Soldier himself. Both begin to wonder what's going on, and they both hope that Steve can fill them in until they hear a scream nearby. nearby. They run into a school to find two individuals known as the Blood Brothers approaching an undercover S.H.I.E.L.D. agent named Avril Kincaid. The two of them knock out the Blood Brothers, and then they exchange information with Kincaid. She explains what this place was and how it was.
Oh my god, every pen just fell out.
Take back the city. They run across the city, beating up as many villains as they can until they get a message from a glowing little girl.
Okay.
She explains that she just wanted to make everyone happy and go bowling, and now he needs their help or he'll die. It doesn't take much for Cap and Bucky to figure out what she's
talking. Second, guys. I'm going to pick all my pens up.
Obviously, Steve Rogers, and the girl's Kobe. The reason Steve needs help is because he's about to die. Because one of those villains that was here and is now normal again is Crossbones. And he throws the elderly Steve through a window and then into a wall, beating him down. And even Steve knows that this is probably the end for him. You see,
what an idiot. Now we're all jumbled up.
Zemo and his new crew. While Zemo could win right there, right now, he wants Steve and Maria's sins to be shown to the world. He wants to reveal what S.H.I.E.L.D. did to him and the other prisoners. And he wants Maria and Steve to feel the shame of it all. So he lets Steve take Maria off to get medical attention before she dies, escorted by the local reverend. As they leave, he tells his group to find Kovic before someone else does. The reverend escorts Steve and Maria to see Eric Slavig, and he begins treatment on Maria Hill. Since Eric was the one handling Kovic before, Steve asks him where she could have gone, and Eric tells him that she loved the bowling alley. And that gives Steve an idea. The Reverend begins to bang on the door, demanding to be let in, stating that the doctor-patient confidentiality has kind of exceeded itself at this point. And that's when there's an explosion, and it hits the Reverend in the face. The Reverend walks in to find Eric with Maria, telling him that Steve Rogers left. The Reverend tells the doctor that it's okay. That's the plan. And he begins to change back into Red Skull. Steve runs over to the bowling alley, and inside he finds Kovic. He takes a knee, and he asks her if she remembers him. And she calls him grumpy, explaining that she doesn't know what's going on. Everyone is bad, and they aren't supposed to be. She wants everyone here to be playing. Then she alters reality to bring in all of the superheroes and villains to one spot. Right here, bowling. Steve considers the power of this, the possibilities. This girl could end every conflict in the world in one shot. It's too dangerous. So he asks her to stop this, and she holds her head down, making everyone vanish. Did she do something wrong? And Steve tells her no. Let's just play a game. She can't do anything, and she's just a normal girl. But that's when someone walked in, pretending to be in their disguise. And it was Crossbones. This brings us back to Steve being ready to die, as Crossbones beats him down into a bloody pulp. That's when the Captain America shield comes flying through the window, and Crossbones catches it. He looks down at it, and he thinks how fitting it'll be to kill Steve Rogers with this. Steve, seeing his life ending, thinks about everything that he did. He thinks about the people that he loved, those that loved him in return. He thinks about the good times, what he was fighting for. He thinks about those he inspired, and those that inspired him. And he realizes, this is fine. He can die proud. He can die happy. He can know peace. But another voice speaks to him, the one that is Kovic. As a light appears before Steve, he sees her, and she tells him that he doesn't have to die. He can stay if he wants. She can make him strong again. She can make him a hero again. As Crossbones winds up and he gets ready to slam the shield down on Steve's head, two hands come up catching the shield. Then Steve stands up, pushing back Crossbones, taking the shield out of Crossbones' hands, and he smashes Crossbones' nose. Captain America and Bucky run into the bowling alley, calling out for Steve, and they're both stunned. Wow, about time. And Steve smiles back at the Winter Soldier, a young smile. Good to be back.
As a creative, you know that creative.
Oh, I haven't heard this dude for a while. Oh wait, no, I have every single video.
You're working on and
Go away. Don't want to hear your video.
Steve steps
Making my
outside
own.
holding his old shield.
As an advert. Sorry guys, I don't. I obviously, because I'm watching something else on YouTube, there's going to be adverts, but I don't really like hearing that dude's voice because I hear every single advert.
Steve walks over, telling Falcon that he is still Captain America, and this is his shield. He gave it up to him. The three of them will now work together to find Kovic. During the whole Crossbones mess, she ran off. They need to find her before Zemo does. After a few more apologies from Steve for not trusting Sam in our earlier adventure and not being there for Bucky when Bucky really needed him, Steve decides that maybe they shouldn't be looking for Kovic because they may not find her before Zemo does. The only way that they can guarantee a win with this is if they stop Zemo and his entire group of villains. Luckily, while they've been dealing with the town, dealing with Kovic and Steve de-aging, a good chunk of other Avengers teams have arrived and had adventures of their own. And now, they're all standing in front of Steve. Spider-Man, Thor, Vision, Nova, Miss Marvel, Iron Man, Deadpool, Cable, Rogue, Quicksilver, and Johnny Storm are ready to fight Zemo and end this. So where did Kovic end up? Well, she ran off into the forest and eventually ran into Kraven the Hunter because he was tracking her.
This copy mark is honestly too badly, actually, guys. They're give us a nice finish on that. So it's damp. But
individual going by the name Wendell
I
Vaughn.
think
People
once
like
I've started using the pens a bit more, they won't be so
But back
sort
with
of
our
leaky.
Avengers teams, Steve points towards Zemo's troops and he announces, Avengers, assemble! Everyone runs into battle, and they tear down a wall during one of Zemo's rants in his speeches, and he brandishes a sword at them, pointing at Steve and his army. All of the villains and the heroes begin to battle it out. Powers, tools, gadgets going off all over the place. But Steve sees Kobik in the middle of the room, and he shouts for his team to go get Kobik before Zemo can use her. That's when Kincaid arrives brandishing the quantum bands, which makes her the new Quasar. And she blasts the cube in an attempt to break it, but she didn't. She just made Kobik mad. With all the fighting going on around her, and no one being here to play with her, and everyone trying to use her, Kobik has had enough. And she grows to a giant size, shouting, "That was very mean!" Iron Man looks at her and simply says, "Oh hell, angry baby, giant angry baby. I was just trying to make you all happy and you tried to hurt me." And the first thing that she does is grab the Winter Soldier and throw him out of the building. Steve shouts out, "Bucky!" But Kobik informs him that Bucky is fine. She doesn't kill people. Then pointing at Zemo, she says, "Unlike him, I'm sick of all of you. Go away," she shouts. She begins to teleport everyone away. Zemo reappears 11,000 miles away in the Himalayas. He lets out a sigh. "I was never good with children." Then Kobik teleports herself away, leaving the remaining villains to fight every Avengers team. Then, one of the greatest Avengers battle ever happens as all of the Avengers fought against a good chunk of the villains. Epicness happened that day. Maria Hill was reprimanded. She didn't lose her rank or her position because she fought against the people in charge, telling them that none of them would have done what she did. And she is here to prevent the worst from happening, even if it means doing things behind everyone's back. And she worked it out with the Avengers groups to keep what happened secret. Steve also found his old friend Rick Jones, offering him a new job. And the original Quasar went on to train the new Quasar. And Bucky Barnes, well, Kobik liked him. She wanted to stay with him, and the other people that she brought along with her that she liked. The only real problem is, Red Skull escaped because he wanted to restart Hydra. And that brings us to the conclusion of Avengers Standoff. Now, there is a lot that happened that we had to skim down to give you the bare bones story. So don't forget to check out all of the tie-ins yourself. Groups like Unity involving Deadpool and Rogue, they had their own adventures going on. They all knew all different Avengers. They had their own adventures going on. Everyone had issues happening in the town of Pleasant Hill. And if you're wondering, the events in this directly relate to what happened to Steve Rogers and why he said the words "Hail Hydra." I made a video explaining what happened with that, but eventually we'll cover the actual storyline here.
And I've done
I
the
hope you guys
extend symbol
enjoyed it.
one as soon as I did. It's just an X on its own, as you can see here. Water blank. I should really start referencing things before I do it. Put a circle around this and that'll do.
My name is Miles Morales. I'm the one
Miles Morales.
At least that's what I'm doing. You're like me. It's impossible. Hey guys, how many more spider people are there?
Hey fellas.
Hello. This could not get any weirder.
This was never your city. It's mine.
If I don't destroy the collider, none of us are gonna go home.
Do animals talk in this dimension? Because I don't want to freak them out.
Okay, so if I can get the colours right on this.
The X-Men can never have it easy. Now there is a virus going around murdering them.
So we've got a black outline, well, black X, sorry.
Welcome
Not
to
a red
Research,
X,
right?
red
We're back
X.
to table issues, and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read dramatically back to you all alterations to the panels, text, and images, art to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. This is the beginning of the extraordinary X-Men run with all new, all different Marvel. Aurora Monroe sits at the old desk of Professor Xavier at the Jean Grey Institute, pondering the recent events of the mutant worlds. A world left in chaos after Scott Summers started a mutant revolution before he recently died. She is unsure of what to do next, but she is the one in charge, so she has to set the new course, a world without Professor Xavier's guidance. Her silence is short-lived as Iceman storms into her room with urgent news about Magic, who is currently on a mission in New Delhi, India. In India, Magic is fighting off a maddened crowd. There is a new mutant which they fear. The military is there to kill the new mutant, and Magic is the only person there protecting this young girl, whose name is Sapna. People are scared of her because she might spread the Mpox, which is a recent development in the world from the Terrigenesis that has been spread throughout the globe. When mutants touch the Terrigenesis cloud, they become ill and eventually die. But when a potential inhuman touches the cloud, they gain abilities. Magic fends off a rain of bullets, and she conjures up a teleportation spell to take Sapna and her parents with her to the only safe place for mutants, X-Haven. Location currently unknown. With a flash, they are gone from India and back home. Safna needs medical attention because the Terrigenesis hit her hard, and Storm and Iceman learn what they can from Magic about how the world is becoming more and more afraid of mutants day by day. Storm makes her decision. They must form a strong group of X-Men to fight a war for survival. Meanwhile, at
We
Empire
bleed.
State University,
I don't like that.
Jean Grey is on her own at school, trying to live a normal life as a normal college student. As she leaves her class, Storm flies down from the rainy skies. The X-Men need you, Jean, Storm tells her. But I don't need the X-Men, she replies back. Iceman is there too, and he tries to sway her opinion, but Storm has a better idea. She tells Jean to read her mind, to see what she's seen. In Storm's mind, Jean sees the world of mutants is in turmoil. The Mpox from the Terrigenesis is sterilizing the mutants in addition to making them sick. This is all there will ever be, Storm warns her. Meanwhile, over in Russia, Tor, also known as Colossus, is working on his old family farm. It is just him, alone, trying to find solitude in the world, and as he settles into his home with a bottle of vodka after a hard day's work, his sister, Ileana, also known as Magic, arrives. She tells him of the problems of the world with the Mpox, and he understands, but he doesn't want to fight anymore. She goads him, calling him a coward, but he ignores it. And then she uses her sword to strike a blow at him, and he turns himself into the organic steel monster Colossus, stopping the blow. Ileana smiles. She knows he's still in there, her big brother, the great warrior. It is time to find his best friend, Nightcrawler. Back with Jean, she's still refusing to go back with the X-Men. Even with all of that peril, how can she go back to the X-Men knowing that becoming an X-Men is a personal death sentence for Jean Grey? This version of Jean is a younger version taken out of the past, but she has seen all of the events of what happens to the future Jean Greys. They all die. Storm understands, but before they leave, they give her a mini Cerebro. It is an item created by Forge that will allow Jean to find X-Haven if she changes her mind. Jean asks, where is X-Haven? And Storm tells her she'll have to see for herself. Before Storm leaves, Jean gives her some information. After Scott died, she scanned the world telepathically for other mutants, and she discovered a mutant who was out there, but shouldn't be. Out on the icy tundra, a man walks alone in the wilderness. After a couple of sniffs, he pops his claws, and suddenly a sentinel looms over him. He begins to charge and assault at the sentinel, and the robot cries out, "Please, don't hurt me!" Just then, Storm and Iceman see him. It's Logan, but a much older-looking Logan. This is a Logan from a future timeline, also known as Old Man Logan. After the events of Secret Wars, he was misplaced out of his timeline and placed into the current timeline. They are astonished to see him because in this timeline, Logan is supposed to be dead, currently inside of a solid tomb of adamantium. Logan is offended to see a sentinel, but Aurora explains that is actually Cerebra, who is housed inside of an old sentinel. Logan still isn't pleased by this. He explains to them that he is from the future where all of the X-Men are dead, and he doesn't know how he got here. He just woke up, and here he was. Aurora wants to help him. They need him since Scott is dead. But Logan tells them, no, he's not Wolverine anymore. Back in Brooklyn, Jean is on a date with a fellow student named Chris. She tells him that it's a relief to get away from school for a little bit, and Chris gets her to open up a little bit about her past. How all the other boys that she'd been in love with have never really worked out. Suddenly, Chris kisses her and she blushes. Was this the normal life that she was looking for? As the two of them leave the bar, Jean is distracted. Off in a nearby alley, there is a mutant who is being ganged up on by street thugs. She can feel the hate in the air as they beat up the mutant, so Jean barges in telling them to stop, and they tell her that this is none of her business. Chris tells her not to worry, it's just another mutie, and she sighs at that response as she suddenly bursts out with a telekinetic rage, knocking out the assailants and putting them to the ground. They soon run off, and Jean's would-be boyfriend panics because he just kissed a mutant, and he runs away. She then tells the mutant that there is a safe haven for him, and he stands up and tells her that he is not a mutant. He's actually an Inhuman, and he runs away. Alone in the alley, Jean pulls out the mini Cerebro, thinking that perhaps she is needed after all. Magic and Colossus teleport to Amsterdam, where they think Nightcrawler is at. When they get there, they
try to get rid of the mutants, guys. From the comic lore. Don't know why they did that, but it didn't work. And they tried to replace it with the Inhumans. If you've watched the Inhumans TV show, you'll see why they didn't work. And that's when they run into the mutants. I mean, it's supposed to be good. Good things about it, but I don't know about it, to be honest. Your voice comes out of the shadows, delighted to see the rest of mutants. I do love the possibilities of playing with your lovely bloodline. It is Mr. Sinister. And catching Magic off guard, he slams her head into the wall, knocking her out. Over at X-Haven, Aurora and Iceman have returned, and that's when suddenly all hell breaks loose. The defenses that Ileana had set up have just gone down. Moving the school into limbo with the demons was a really bad idea, Iceman says, as these winged demons descend upon him. Over in Canada, Logan is making work on a whiskey bottle in a dive bar, and he begins to talk to a voice in his head that he believes to be Jean Grey. Of course, it can't be her. She died, and it just has to be her ghost tormenting.
As he walks back to his trailer, he sees Jean Grey alive and so young. And they go into his trailer, the two of them, Logan from the future and Jean Grey from the past. They talk about the state of things, the death of Scott Summers, the Terrigen Mist, but it doesn't matter. Logan doesn't want to be a part of the X-Men anymore. Jean doesn't believe that he's lost everything, so she reads his mind and sees the future of James Howland. She sees the future that he came from, one ruled by supervillains, and how Logan killed all of the X-Men, and how he lost his wife and child. He did lose everything. Now he's back in a world that torments him. He still believes that he is destined to kill the X-Men, just like Jean is destined to die. This is their destiny, isn't it? But no. And so, of course, no. Logan refuses to go back to that world. Jean tells him that that is all nonsense. They have control. They can prevent these destinies from happening. They should not be cowards. They should not live in fear as to what is to come. Not while the X-Men need Marvel Girl and Wolverine. Their only real destiny is to be X-Men. So Wolverine, with Marvel Girl at his side, decides that it's time to get back into the fight for mutant survival. But he is not wearing any damned costume again. Back in Limbo, the X-Men are fighting to stave off the demons that are flying above them. They must protect the students and the mutant refugees at all costs. The defenses that Illyana put up went down because something happened to her, and Forge's backup systems were not ready yet. They desperately fight, and Iceman releases snowmen that he had in cold storage to fight off the demons.
That's fine. I figured you wouldn't be here for much longer.
And actually gains control of one of the demons to help
I'm
fight
just
off even
doodling,
more demons as
colouring in
Storm
now.
unleashes all of her power
I'm going to
on
do
them.
Stan and
While
pencils,
Forge
so
is
definitely
working his
check
tail
back.
off to get the X-Haven shield back online, he gets a message from Jean with the mini Cerebro. She says that she's ready to help and she's bringing a friend. So he uses the Cerebro Sentinel to transport both Marvel Girl and Wolverine into Limbo because they need them right now. With the cavalry here, maybe they can buy
How was
Forge
everything
the
with your
time
dad?
they need to save X-Haven back in
What are you getting up to
Mr.
there?
Sinister
Are
and his
you,
new marauders have captured Colossus, Magic, and
you got much
Nightfall.
done? I haven't
It is
seen
the
you on
same
your YouTube or your
laboratory Sinister
Instagram
has
for a while.
Colossus mutant and a containment unit. He exposes them to the heavy doses of Terrigen Mist that he's collected. His plan is to use the mist to turn the mutants into some kind of hybrid Homo superior sapien, a mutant that is so strong that they can resist the Terrigen Mist. In order to do this, though, he has injected this poor purple elephant-looking mutant with inhuman DNA, but his experiment fails, and his subject melts away. Perhaps Illyana is made of sterner stuff. Colossus looks on helpless as Sinister begins his mad work. The X-Men continue to fight in Limbo. With the X-Men united, they are able to fend off the demons so that Forge can finally get his emergency shield back up online. Fighting off the last of the demons, X-Haven is safe, but now the more pressing matter is what happened to Magic and Colossus. They are clearly in trouble. Forge can trace their signals to Manhattan, and Wolverine will do the rest, tracking them down once they are there. So Cerebro gets to Manhattan, and Wolverine gets to work. In the lab below Manhattan, Sinister is preparing to experiment on Illyana with the power-dampening serum that he's injected into Colossus. Colossus can't power up, and just as Sinister is getting ready to do more vile experiments, a familiar snikt sounds, and 3 claws pierce the chest of Mr. Sinister. With that, the Marauders begin to assault the X-Men, and the fight goes quickly, but the X-Men are too much for the Marauders, especially with Jean Grey there to mentally defeat her opponents. Wolverine frees Colossus from his bindings, and he quickly recovers his sister Magic, who is currently unconscious. Nightcrawler is still stuck in the containment unit.
Colour shall have the word
Wolverine thinks that there's
Excelsior.
something wrong with him, but before they can figure it out,
There's many to
Sinister
pick from
rises
now.
from his wound.
And I mean,
What I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make you better. I'm trying to make you perfect. He then unleashes one of his specimens, one that has not died. Cyclops! Jean tries to telepathically communicate with Cyclops, but there is nothing there. So Wolverine goes in for the kill just as the abomination blasts him into the streets of Manhattan. The remains of
I did that the wrong colour.
Human DNA, turning him into a monster.
I was meant to put the white around the circle, the second circle white, and I didn't, because I'm an idiot. I'm going to have to get some white out and do that and fix it afterwards. It won't be like that in the digital version though. So keep tuned for that one later on in the week.
And on the streets, the
More
innocent
likely
are in
tomorrow.
danger. So Iceman placed a fence to keep them safe. Storm takes on Cyclops directly while Wolverine tries to recover from the optic strike. Down below, Mr. Sinister recovers from Colossus' strike, but now he can actually turn into Colossus and he goes toe-to-toe with Mr. Sinister. The fight continues, but Sinister is too powerful even for Colossus. So Colossus continues his fight, but Mr. Sinister puts him into a headlock. Suddenly, Magic's sword decapitates Mr. Sinister's head from his body up above. Wolverine manages to fight through the pain and he gets right into the Cyclops monster, stabbing him through the chest, which somehow destabilizes the creature. He's going to explode, so Aurora tells Marvel Girl to contain the explosion using her telekinesis. She lifts
So your
the
dad,
creature
see what
off
he
the
thinks
ground
of
and
it.
explodes,
Is he there with you?
protective shield. The The day is won by the X-Men, but the onlookers have seen more mutant chaos. They are just afraid this isn't helping.
Or your
the
brother?
mutant
I'm
public
sure they
image.
appreciate
The press
it.
is there and Storm turns
Have
to
they
the
checked
cameras
any of
for
this stuff
the
out yet?
Storm tells people that it is the mutants that are dying, not the humans. She understands their fear after what Scott Summers did, but the X-Men are not fighting a war against the humans. They fight for humans and inhumans alike. But if you try to hurt us, we will retaliate. Even though you may fear us, even though you may hate us, we will not give up on you. To me, my X-Men. With that, Illyana transports the X-Men, including Nightcrawler, back to X-Haven. Back at X-Haven, Forge informs Storm that Maria Hill has already contacted them to inform them that they have S.H.I.E.L.D's full support, and that S.H.I.E.L.D. will clean up and contain the Marauders and Mr. Sinister. S.H.I.E.L.D. will also help them locate any more mutants that need to get to X-Haven. There are more mutants out there, and the work has just begun. Jean asks if Logan will be moving in, and he's a little hesitant. The last time that he was in a mutant sanctuary, kind of killed all the X-Men. But Jean asks, was I there? With her there, everything will be different. She'll watch his back, and he'll protect her from all of the teenage boys that are looking at her kind of funny. Anything is better than you and Slim. Oh, didn't anyone tell you? There's a new teenage Scott, too. Wonderful. Old man Logan retorts as they walk back into X-Men. This is the new beginning for the X-Men with the all-new, all-different Marvel. I'm personally really loving the story, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with it. I know it's getting a lot of interesting backlash because it's another change-up of the status quo for the X-Men, but out of all of the change-ups to the status quo, I think this one's my favorite one. Don't forget, we do manga over at Manga Story, and every Monday and Friday, link to that's down below, and we give you video.
Want to start listening to that manga channel?
Link to that is
I haven't checked any of it out yet.
Comic Story and Instagram at Comic Story, and I'll see you guys next time right here.
Then again, I know I should know this, but is manga, whatever you want to call it, is it from China or is it from Japan? I don't know the answer and I don't want to be racist. So please somebody let me know in the comments section. I might have a look that up in a second. Because it could be a good theme to carry on with the theme of fire and fireworks, as that's going to be continuing next week.
We charge everything.
China is where fireworks came from, so
and now cars
they're doing a video on Chinese history. I'm not sure if I'll do Mulan, because obviously I was going to try and do a dragon as well, because obviously I want to, that kind of mythos comes from that area. So maybe a manga dragon, you know, could be something like that.
More time to do some recharging of your own. Visit scottishpower.co.uk/.
No.
When Black Bolt thought that the world was going to end, he sold his son to Kang the Conqueror, a man who can travel through time. But since the world didn't end and Secret Wars ended, and they have survived, it's time to get his son back. Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read each back to you. All alterations of the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies.
It's a fine pen.
Our story begins with Black Bolt, Triton, and Reader with his dog Foray, stepping through a time portal to visit Attilia, the birthplace of the Inhumans.
Orange doesn't get used much in my color palette.
Triton tells Reader to keep an eye on the portal while him and Black
So I've always got lots of orange.
Before they could leave, a blue light appears to surround the three of them. As Reader asks Triton what's going on, an image of Kang the Conqueror appears before them, telling Black Bolt, "We made a deal, but you decided to break that deal." As the light begins to fade, the group finds themselves in 1961, and Kang tells them that all of those who follow Black Bolt in his attempt to steal his property will die. Reader tells him, "Wait, I was only hired, but where are we anyway?" Kang tells him that this is the place where the SAR bomb, the largest hydrogen bomb ever, was dropped, and it will be within the next 2 minutes. He's moved them through time to their own deaths. Kang then looks at Black Bolt. "We had a deal. I would take your son as if the world was ending to save him, and if the world was saved, he would still."
You showing your mum? I didn't realize she was with your mum as well.
And Triton tells him Black Bolt is trying to get his son back so that he can continue his line. But Reader asks, "What about my line?" As the three look out, they see more giant blue orbs.
Met your mum already, haven't I?
Soldiers and dinosaurs.
Very briefly on the Instagram stream.
In the present time, Queen Medusa, along with the Inhumans,
After Christmas, I'll be able to make more streams with you, because I'll have a better
Once they
phone.
get home, Iso, one of the Inhumans, goes off to see their guest, Hank McCoy. Medusa then follows Iso, and once they get to Hank's lab, and Hank tells her that it's kind of hard to do his research when Medusa keeps taking his assistant, Iso.
Because my son's not going to be here this Christmas, I'm kind of
But
Gonna be
Medusa fears that if the mutants
getting on with
can
stuff
overcome
and drawing
the
stuff
mutants
over
again,
Christmas
one of the
and
spaces
doing
will
Christmassy
end.
type videos very soon, guys. So if you want some ideas on what to make for people for Christmas, because I believe that if you haven't got the cash to if you haven't got the cash to go and buy a gift, because everybody expects you to buy something. I personally, throughout the years of Christmases, especially as a younger person, I would always make something. I'd get a bit of clay, or I'd get a picture, I draw them, or something like that, frame it and stuff. All my nephews used to love my pictures, and I used to give them to them. Every Christmas I'd make something for them. But if you guys want some ideas, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because later on next month I will be doing some videos on that. Might get some clay as well, and create and paint.
Back in the present day Atelian, Medusa goes to meet the liaison between the Inhumans and New York, which happens to be Johnny Storm, who's also her new boyfriend. As the two of them begin to kiss, Johnny's about to say something when he looks behind Medusa and he sees a rather displeased Black Bolt. Johnny tries to tell him that he knows that she's his wife, well, was his wife, but he would not intentionally do what he just did in front of him. This really isn't what it looks like, Black Bolt. But Medusa tells him...
Excelsior is a very colourful word.
This is exactly what
Doesn't
it looks
actually
like.
mean
Johnny begins to
anything
cover
particular.
himself up in
It
flames,
is
but Medusa tells him that he needs to
a
keep
word
it
that he
down.
used to
Johnny tells
say,
Medusa that her ex-boyfriend
and
with a single word
basically
can kill a
means,
person. Matter of fact, destroying an entire planet, just walked in on her and her
I don't
boyfriend making out.
quite know what it
Why would
actually
you tell him
means.
to calm down, as Johnny
You would say it
looks
after
at
everything,
Black
so
Bolt,
if
who
you
is currently
say
showing
go and do
further
it,
signs
make
of
sure,
displeasure.
follow
Johnny
your
walks up
dreams,
to him.
Excelsior.
Please calm down. Medusa tells Black Bolt that her and Johnny's relationship started after they
And I
separated.
have done ever
That
since he
doesn't
created
matter.
something,
Did he
and
find
I
their
would not be an
son?
artist if I
Black
didn't have his
Bolt
artwork,
places his hand
or
on
as
her
his
shoulder.
literature, sorry,
Medusa tells
to
Black Bolt
copy.
she's calling the council. As Johnny begins to
I know
follow
his art,
Medusa, Black
he
Bolt
wasn't the
begins
artist,
calling
he
him,
was
but he
the
stops
writer.
Johnny. He then points at Medusa,
But all his
and
ideas
himself, and he reaches
was
for one
given
of
to the artist to draw.
Black Bolt then continues to walk off, and Johnny thinks to himself, well,
And
that was
Nikki,
pretty cool.
I'm being funny,
In
but
Mesopotamia, 924 BCE,
are you
King stands at an old
still
temple with Black Bolt's
the artist?
son.
Are you still the
Aurora tells him that he
literature
will not fail, and King tells him,
from my art?
go forth and conquer. Back in the war council room, all of the Inhumans, along with Hank and Johnny, begin to gather. Medusa asks
You write the
Triton
things, I draw the
Black
pictures.
Bolt. So Triton explains that they were going back in time to rescue Black Bolt and Medusa's son from Kang, and that's when Medusa stops him. Wait, I could not have heard that correctly. Black Bolt made a deal with Kang involving our son? Reader tries to state that as he understood it, Black Bolt had to do this to save their son's life. But as Johnny tells Reader, it's probably best to not get in the middle of a family affair. The man in front of them, Gorgon, disappears. Hank noticed what happened, and when Iso asks what's wrong, he tells her that there's no time, and he hits a button on his wrist. A red force field surrounds everyone in the room, and Triton asks if this is some
Okay,
sort of... Hank tells them no. Didn't they see Gorgon vanish? But Medusa
Skin
looks at them
colour.
and asks, what
I
does it
don't
mean?
think
Who's
I'm
Gorgon?
going to be able to
Medusa
get
then goes on to ask Hank
a nice
to
colour
explain
with these
himself, and Hank
pencils.
begins to explain
These
that it
pens,
looks
sorry.
like Kang is
Because as you
attacking
can see, all I got is
human
pink and
timelines.
orange, and
Iso begins to look outside of the
there's
bubble
no
to see
actual
that some of the
skin
characters
colour
have
itself,
disappeared too.
or
And
as close
Hank
to
continues to
skin
state
colour as
that
I
he
can
has
get.
seen this before. So he came up with a countermeasure
That's as close
so that
as
everyone within this bubble is in
light
their own
colour.
timeline, shielded from them disappearing. Black Bolt then points to Reader's belt, but Reader tells him they don't know
That's
where
very
or
orange,
when
and I don't
they
want to
need
use
go
orange.
to stop this. Hank mentions
A lot of
that
people think it's
possible to
pink
try and go
for
back
skin,
and
but
stop
it's
Kang,
not.
He doesn't know enough about the Inhumans' history.
I
And Iso
do
tells
have this
everyone
colour
that
here.
they do
Again,
what they
it's
use
very
to defeat
orange. I
opponents,
don't really want to
as
use
well
it.
as the historian.
Oh, it's weird
But
using a brush pen
it's
again.
out there, outside of the
Yeah, see, that's very
Johnny
dark.
tells them
I don't
not
want to
worry,
use that.
he's not inhuman, so Kang wouldn't be targeting him as he was trying to get everyone else. So
Can I get my
Medusa
pencils
says that
out?
she will call
Bear
two
with
other Inhumans to get the items ready for him. Johnny leaves and grabs Inferno and Geridium, the Codex and Historican, and starts to fly back. Once Johnny arrives at the items, Medusa asks, where are Inferno and Grid? And Johnny looks at her saying, who? Iso and Hank quickly begin to work with the device, but as they work, the building they were in vanishes. Their entire
I'm gonna do
history
the same.
is going away. And Reader
Really,
asks,
I'm going to do the same as I did last time. I did actually give some of my pencils away. So guys, if you do, again, if you want some in any artwork sent out to you, I will send you some of my personal pencils so you can have a go. Because what I'm planning on doing is everything that I get scanned in, printed out, I will send you a black and white copy so you can have a go yourself.
He begins to take off his mask.
We do need orange, but
he's been
we
waiting
need
for
pink
far
as
too
well.
long. When he finally finishes taking off his mask, he reveals himself to be a
Oh,
Black Bolt's son is the current Kang. Ahura tells everyone that he was just expecting Black Bolt, but it's good to see his mother Medusa could make it out as well. Medusa tells him, please, let's just talk about this. Ahura tells him that it's been 190 years since he last heard her voice, and he remembers the lullabies that she would sing, and that this was before, they abandoned him with Kang. There will be no more lullabies, just drums of war. He used to dream about hearing her voice, but those dreams are now just dust.
Well, I think I don't really want to use that though.
But Black Bolt stops him. Johnny
there we go, there's my thing.
He still has his son. All of the
so now guys, I'm going to blend two colours together to make a nice skin tone. He is kind of tan, but I'll start with the pink first.
Tells Hank and Reader to get back. She will shield them.
As soon as I've sharpened it. You see what I mean in a moment. What I mean, don't use orange, don't use pink. If you combine the two colours with pencil, you can do it with pen, but it's really, really difficult.
But out of 100 arrows, 5 did get through and 1 has hit him. Reader stands in front of them and
combine the two colours together and you get a skin tone.
So he can't see what he's doing.
And more colours of each you use, more better colour you get.
Medusa and Triton ready themselves.
Well, this is a Caucasian colour. I don't mean to be racist, but I'm doing a Caucasian man, therefore I'll be doing Caucasian colour. If you're going to use for any other race, it's different fairies and different colours. As all races and any creeds are.
And if he did, he would already be dead. Ahura then goes on to tell
that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing or a good thing, and I'm trying not to be racist, so I'm going to shut up.
Johnny begins to fall, and Ahura flies over to him, holding him by the neck, and a phantom comes out of Ahura and into Johnny. As everyone continues to fight the phantoms, Johnny appears before them as a giant.
Start with an orange here.
He fires down on everyone. Black Bolt quickly turns and he begins to yell back.
Not orange, so I start with pink.
And the force of his speaking stops the blast and stops Johnny. Both Johnny and Ahura begin to fall from the sky, and Medusa catches Johnny with her hair, while the phantoms catch Ahura. Reader asks, what the hell was that sound? It sounded like a nuke went off. And Hank tells him that you now have the privilege of having heard the voice of Black Bolt. Huh? Who's the poor bastard at the receiving end? Johnny Storm, actually. Well, I can't say I didn't see that coming. Ahura begins to regroup as Black Bolt's voice has destroyed the link between Johnny and Ahura. And then Reader makes a castle for everyone to defend themselves in. After some time, Ahura calls out the Black Bolt and Medusa, telling them to come out. It's time that they talked. As Black Bolt and Medusa walk towards Ahura, Medusa asks,
Ahura,
what did Kang do to you? And Ahura tells him that Kang raised him
for
war. He knew what Kang
I thought he was trying to say Aurora.
Willingly. So when he was done erasing the Inhuman timeline, he killed Kang, and he took his time technology. He then goes on to tell them, look what Kang made me. What Black Bolt allowed to happen. I am now the conqueror, and I have worlds to destroy. And Ahura looks down and he asks Black Bolt and Medusa, what do you see? And as Black Bolt and Medusa hold hands, Black Bolt whispers, my son. Just then, Ahura is blasted by Black Bolt's voice, and Medusa goes back into the castle telling everyone to come outside. They need to save him. Back in the lost city of Attilian, 13,000 years ago, Kang appears and he brings the cocoon of an evolving inhuman. Kang tells the men around to get their king, Randak. And as Randak comes out, he begins to look at the cocoon. And Kang tells Randak that he was told to bring Black Bolt's son here to make sure that everything goes well with his transition. Randak tells him not to worry. No matter what the child becomes, all Inhumans are his people. And Kang tells him, well, no. Ahura is his property. A deal was made. And once Ahura gets the aid and training that he needs, Kang will take him back. Randak tells him that this is his kingdom, and he will determine what happens. And Kang tells him that Ahura will eagerly leave once he's found out his heritage. But he can just ask Ahura himself. Soon after, he bursts out and climbs out of the cocoon in front of everyone. But as Ahura tries to understand what's going on, Kang tells him to hang on, and he leaves to send Black Bolt, Reader, and Triton to 1961. We are back at the day that they all first arrived back in time. However, in the shadows of Attilian, the group returns to the same timeline as before, while Kang goes off to fight the original Black Bolt, Reader, and Triton. The future versions who have dealt with everything are now here to try and correct this again. Medusa goes to one of the townspeople to tell him that she is their queen in the future, and she needs to see the king of now. So after a short moment later, Medusa and everyone begins to walk towards Randak and Ahura runs to hug his mother. He then looks at Black Bolt and he tells him that he's pretty sure Medusa forced him to come. Triton tells Ahura to relax. Black Bolt has battled through the ages to get him to come back. And Ahura tells him it doesn't matter. He's here with Randak to learn his powers. And Triton tells him, we already know that. We already know what your power is. You can create psychic doubles and even possess people. Johnny speaks up and says, yeah, especially that last one. But Ahura says, why is he even here? This is a family affair. And Johnny just looks at him. But Ahura says that it doesn't matter. He's not going anywhere. He's going to stay with Kang. And that's when Medusa shows him the historic and all of the things that he did. And Uhura asks, why would Kang do all of that? That's when Kang appears behind them all to tell them why indeed. It's simple, really. Betrayal. With that, Kang brings forth an army out of time. Everyone begins to fight off the soldiers, and Uhura attempts to join the fight, but Kang grabs him from behind. As everyone finishes defeating the army, Black Bolt and Medusa walk to Kang, and Medusa tells
so
him,
we got the
"Release
base
our child."
pink
And Kang
down
tells him,
again.
what?
So
You
think
can't do
of
anything to
using
me.
pink as the base
Black Bolt
color
begins to open his mouth. And
as
Medusa
like you just had a sunburn.
then Uhura uses
Okay.
his power to create
So
a
you've
phantom
got your sunburn
that
there.
turns and possesses
Like your
Kang.
sunburn there.
Uhura tells him that even though his parents
You've had your
failed
sunburn, and
every time,
after you get
they're still
sunburn, you
his
get a
parents.
slight tan.
Now Kang
So
is
now
also
we're going to
his
go
brother.
over
He
with
then
it
turns to
with
Kang
a
and he tells him to
little
go fix
slight bit of
everything that he's
orange,
done to
ever
damage
so
the human timeline.
slightly,
And
try
if you
not to
ever
be
feel the
too
urge to harm the inhuman
heavy with
again,
it.
kill
And you
yourself
get
before you do
a
it.
skin
And that's
tone of
Kang disappears. Uhura turns to
Caucasian.
everyone and then walks to Black Bolt and Medusa and tells them, "Let's go home."
I'm just getting rid of this advert, which I can't skip because of course it's a
Now, if you're wondering who the Inhumans are,
an
they are
advert for
kind of
bloody
like
Harry
the
Potter.
X-Men, where they're born with this whole
You're out of
inhuman
date
gene in
now,
them,
mate.
and
Go
they have to be
away.
exposed to the Terrigen Mist, which puts them into a cocoon to get their powers. We do have a video on them, but if you really do enjoy the Inhumans, I'll start doing a bunch of background stories on the Inhumans themselves and more stories like this. I wasn't a huge fan of the Inhumans, but this run of the Inhumans hooked me, and I'm loving every minute of it right now. Hope you guys did too. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter @ComicStorian and Instagram @ComicStorian, and I'll see you next time right here. Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites. The purpose of this series is to allow you to recap your favorite comic books so you understand what's going on, allowing you to go out and buy more comic books because now you know the storyline. But just giving you a simple recap would be boring, so we added music, weird voices, and sometimes sound effects. Now, in the events of our last story, Scott Summers of the X-Men led a charge against the Inhumans when the mutants found out that the Terrigen clouds were toxic to them. There was a bloody battle that followed when Scott put in motion a plan to stop the Terrigen cloud, which led to the death of him. But once a truce was settled between the two factions, Scott's brother Havoc learned that Scott in fact died in the early stages of the outbreak, and Emma Frost was using his projection to start this war. That was the death of X, and I'll link it down below. Now it's time to do the first half of Inhumans versus X-Men. It has been 8 months since Scott Summers fell at the hands of the Inhuman Black Bolt, and Hank McCoy finds himself looking at Scott's grave, asking if it was all really worth it. Hell, he's not even sure if he made the right decision himself, but there's really no point in asking because he's dead anyway. Since then, he started working on finding a solution regarding the Terrigen Mist, but he's come to the realization that he has in fact failed. They're running out of time. Hank's younger self, Henry, asks, what does he mean by out of time? Because it looks like some terrible time travel pun. Hank laughs, saying that he wishes that was the case. But the situation that they are now looking at is that Scott managed to stop one of the Terrigen clouds. However, that leaves one of them still out there. And the shouts that they should just hurry and finish off what Scott started. Destroy the second cloud and be done with it. Storm tells them that they can't because they agreed to a truce with the Inhumans. They will honor their word. But Emma and Storm begin to argue whether they should be aggressive or not, and Hank tells them to stop. There's more to what he has to say. In the recent days, there's been an increase in the Terrigen saturation levels all over the world, not just in the clouds of Wake. Very soon, there will be a tipping point where the bonds holding the cloud will dissipate, and it will rapidly spread throughout the atmosphere. When that happens, the Earth will be completely uninhabitable for any mutant. Everyone stands in silence, and Storm asks him, how long do we have? And Hank tells her, 2 weeks. We only have 2 weeks left. Forge says that can't be right. Maybe the calculations are wrong. But Hank stops him, telling him that his calculations are not wrong. But he just wanted to tell them before they bring this to the Inhumans. Magneto slams his fist down on the table, telling them that he will not let his people be gassed to death. So what is the solution? There has to be something that can fix this.
Right.
shouts, asking if he was even listening. Because
now
there
we've got
is
to the
no
iconic
solution.
glasses.
Some choices, yes, but solutions, no. The choices that they face now is that either they can leave the Earth and start over, or they can stay and die. Magneto tells Hank that he must have missed another option.
You like
They
brown
can
for that
fight.
one.
Hank shouts,
I won't
insane.
use- I
And
won't
old man
do
Logan
them,
says that if the choices
that
are
in
leaving
pencil,
or lying
in
down
the
the
pen
time,
side.
then all they got is crazy. Hank tells
Because I think
everyone that
it'll
Scott almost
black
brought
out
them to the brink
everything
of an
that's
all-out
there.
war. Medusa and her people have not been sitting idle since. They've been preparing. They've been assisting in the research to find a solution regarding the Terrigen, and they've also been readying themselves in case there isn't a solution. There are battle plans in place. He has seen them, and he's pretty sure Medusa let him see them so that he would know that they are ready if something were to happen. Emma tells Hank that he's being naive because they too have been making plans. While everyone is off trying to find an answer with the Inhumans, which she was hoping would succeed, she's been working on a more warlike solution. She goes on to explain that the plan is first handling Karnak, since he can sense flaws, which means he probably knows that the truce is ready to fail. Next, they will deal with Medusa and New Attila, and her sister Crystal and her team and their ugly flying ship. Finally, that will leave that monster Black Bolt. He killed Scott, so he'll be hers. Henry asks if she means handle him, and Magneto tells him no one will die. But if the Inhumans refuse to accept the inevitable, then they will be handled. Emma goes back to explaining that once the main Inhumans are subdued and leaderless, that they will be able to freely destroy the remaining Terrigen cloud, which brings them to Forge. Forge says that he designed a machine that should, but Hank interrupts him, telling him, wait, you could not really be so foolish to think that it would be as simple as neutralizing Medusa and the others. Storm, you can't be on board with. However, as Storm gets ready to answer, Emma jumps in shouting, that is enough! We all know how powerful Black Bolt is, and unlike him, we can handle our plans and not fail at them. As Emma continues to shout, Storm stops her, telling her that they need to take emotion out of this. They've heard both her and Hank's side, so now they need to put it to a vote. The room goes silent, and Logan says that if they don't do this, they're all going to die, so he's in favor of removing the cloud. Rogue says that she cannot be a part of this, so her vote is no. Both Forge and Henry say that they are for it, and Storm says that they all know how Emma and Magneto would vote, so it's settled. Majority votes to destroy the Terrigen cloud. Hank begins to walk off shouting that this will be the death of them, unless, like them, he's going to go back to New Attila because he will not be a part of. But before Hank can finish his sentence, a bolt of lightning strikes him in the back. As he tries to pick himself up, he asks Storm, why? She kneels down, telling him that she is sorry. The plan that Emma and Magneto made, it was hers as well. Once everyone moves into their positions with their targets, Emma heads over to New York for Black Bolt's bar. She sits in the quiet room telling Black Bolt that he may be surprised to see her. But here under this roof, it is neutral grounds. No one will start a fight here. But Emma then continues. She tells him that the only way something would happen is if you started it, right? That's when there's a knock at the door. One of the club performers walks in, and Black Bolt looks at her visibly concerned. Emma says that he may look a bit puzzled, but let her make her point very clear. Their truce is over! Emma changes into her diamond form, and the woman pulls out a gun and tells Black Bolt to just sit down and... But before she can finish, Black Bolt opens his mouth, and as quietly as he can, he says, don't. A blast emits, tearing away at the woman's gun and mask, and the woman begins to shine and says that she thinks the last time that he hit her with that voice, it was worse. Black Bolt grits his teeth, but before he can say another word, Emma punches him in the throat, stopping him. She then tells Dazzler to go ahead. He can't say a word.
Oh, hi there,
Dazzler takes
all
off the
about.
mask,
How you doing, mate?
Good, because
What do you
all
think?
the power that Black Bolt just gave her
Coloured it in
is starting
now.
to hurt. Might as well give it back, right? She holds out her hand and a blinding light begins to shine, and Black Bolt is blasted through several walls, knocking him out. Over at the Tower of Wisdom, Karnak sits, stating that he was expecting someone to be sent for him, but he was not expecting you. Jean asks, who was he expecting? And as Karnak answers, he stops himself, stating, that's odd. Deja vu. Jean tells him, well, that's because this is the fourth time that we are having this.
Ignore that. I'm going to wipe this piece out because I completely made a complete boob of it. Well, instead of putting the white, it's red, white, red, blue. I can't believe I did that. And then the stars obviously white as well. What an idiot.
But as the mutant doesn't answer, Crystal tells Swan to go
But
ahead and
hopefully you
get
like this. I've left his beard on because I've left him as a younger person. Thank you very much for that like there, buddy. I left his, given him a beard because I'm keeping him as his younger version.
No one saves me.
Thank you very much for that, buddy. Yours looked amazing as well, I must say. When I checked yours out, it was, oh my god, mate. You captured that. When I saw you draw those, just the heroes, I thought, oh, it's going to be a hero video. He's going to draw heroes and sort of thing. And then you turned it into Stan Lee, the whole thing. That was,
Over at New Utility,
mate, that was
Medusa and
brilliant.
Johnstone
That was
stare
such
off
a good
the
idea. If I could do it like that, I would.
Those fools.
But I'm glad you like this
Johnny
one.
asks what they're going to do, and Medusa says
Again,
that
this
as
is an
far as
homage
she
to
knows,
Stanley, and
the
it's
truth
an
still
aged.
holds. So if they can talk,
It's
they
not. It's a
talk.
younger version
Johnny
of
then
Stanley.
asks,
He had a
"Is
beard
it
at
not?"
at one point.
Then we fight.
And
Storm leads a
well, we
group
have
of
to
X-Men
obviously
towards
keep
New
the
Utility.
iconic
Medusa
glasses
heads
in,
inside
and he's got his
contacts Iso,
mustache.
asking where she's at. Iso
He's
says
got his
that her and
ring.
Inferno are at the main gates, and they've just been sealed. So Medusa says that's good because Black Bolt, Crystal, and Karnak are not answering her calls. So she needs her and Inferno to get out of there. Find what happened to everyone. Iso asks, what is she planning on doing? And Medusa suits up, telling them that this
Near
is
enough
her.
done, to be
And these
honest
are
with you.
her people, and she
Tomorrow
will
I'm going to be
not
digitizing this, so I've
steal
took a
away
picture of this
the
already.
future. As the
And
battle
I will be
begins,
using
tells everyone
the
that
same
target is the royal
tactics as
family,
I have
not the New civilians.
already
They must
done.
remain unharmed.
And I will
Down
record
below,
it, but what I will do is I will have the live stream like I'm doing now, but I will record it so you can watch how I actually did it in all
Henry jumps in.
so actually how I do it, because what I can't do is stream the stream like this when I'm doing critter files, because it doesn't the OBS it's just not good enough, or maybe my computer's not good enough.
Henry then jumps up and tells her,
What's inside the book?
Shoots into the ground and back up, attacking Henry. And she shouts,
You mean this book here?
Invade her home and attack her people. Harry begins to wrap around Henry's leg. Medusa slams him back into the ground, asking if he really thinks that he can hurt her. Suddenly, there's a bam! And Nightcrawler jumps out, grabbing her, telling her, believe it or not, we're not actually here to hurt you.
Now,
Only to take you somewhere
everything
we can't
is
hurt us."
in
And
this
then he
book,
breaks away.
okay,
Down at the gates,
I
Iso and
have
Inferno run
done
over
a
to
stream
Henry
on,
to
so if you want to go and
escape.
check
And as
those
they
out,
open
bud,
up the door, they
you can
see
see
Saber
every
just
single
standing there
picture
telling
that
them,
I've done in
"Look
this
here,
book.
a couple of snaps." Iso
There's
gets
still
ready
loads of
attack.
pages
She
to
tells
go,
Inferno that she has
and
studied
I
Saber,
will
she knows his
completely fill this book
capabilities,
up.
and Inferno says so has he. And
I
also,
do a
he knows
picture
that they're pretty
every
much
single
screwed.
week, so on a
But
Monday I'll
before
do a
they can
sketch
even
video,
attack, a
and on a
blaster
Tuesday
shoots
I will
down
do
covering
a
Saber tooth. Iso asks
if
Inferno
I'm
what
happy
he
with
did,
the
and Inferno
sketch,
says
or I'll
it wasn't
refine
him.
the
Giant
sketch on a
storm flies
Tuesday.
down, shouting,
Then
"I
on
got this,
Wednesday
just
I
hurry,
will
get out of
ink
here."
that
While Saber
that
begins to
picture,
fight back against
and then
Johnny
on a
Storm, Iso and
Thursday,
Inferno
occasionally
hop
on a
on
Friday as
hover
well,
bike and begin to
I
escape. As
will
Storm begins to watch over the
digitize the
battle,
piece that
Saber
I've done in
radios
pencil.
that two of the baby and humans got
And
away.
ink.
And as Storm looks around, she spots them and says that she could see them. She radios over to Laura, telling her that the two managed to get away. She needs to stop them immediately. Angel swoops down, grabbing Laura, and she radios back, "Don't
all
worry,
of the other
Righteous
videos,
got her
if you want to check out
Storm
Dark
then contacts
Month,
Magic and Nightcrawler,
that's where I did
asking about their
most of the other
Magic says that they have
pictures.
all
That's
of the
in Dark
targets
Month
secured, or
playlist.
more accurately,
It has got a picture of Miles Morales, but that's because I was playing Spider-Man at the time, and I can't actually get, for some reason, that playlist won't go away. So I don't know why I can't change the picture on the playlist, but it's got most of my pictures there. Again, they're all digitized, they're all inked, and they're all sketched.
Laura then slams down
In the
onto the
reverse.
ground while Iso catches both her and Inferno, telling Inferno that they've made it as far as they need to go. As they get up, Inferno asks Iso, what is she talking about? And Iso blows away some of the sand, stating, not what, but who. Eldorak. While Iso begins to set up the warp gate, Angel calls out that they need to come with them. They don't want to hurt them. And Laura tells them, yes, they do. The gate begins to open, and Laura jumps at them with her claws ready to stab. But as Iso pulls Inferno in, Laura lands stabbing into the sand. And Angel says that they aren't supposed to be killing people. And Laura just
This is
grunts.
today's
As the
video,
blue
though.
flash fades, Iso and Inferno
I'll give you a zoom in, like I always do.
And
I'll give
Iso
everybody a
asks,
zoom
where
in.
did they just go? Inferno tells them that he doesn't really care where here is, as long as they get away from Wolverine.
So obviously we
The
started
sound of
with
two
the
claws
superheroes.
popping rings through the
Again, if
forest.
I've missed a
Logan
superhero and
tells the two of
ignore
them,
that
"Oh, I'm
shield
sorry.
because I did
Let's
it
just
wrong,
take your tank."
I'll wipe that
Iso
out with a
quickly
bit of
puts on the
white out.
pressure, blasting, throwing Logan through the trees and
If there's
calling
any
out to
heroes that
Inferno
I've
to
missed
keep
or
him busy.
heroes
She's going to destroy
that
whatever
I've
that is
missed,
down
let
there,
me know,
she's
because I'd
pretty
love to
sure
put
that
them on
whatever's
there.
being built is going to destroy
There's
As
Stanley in his
Inferno looks
glasses.
back, he sees Logan get back up, and he says that they may
Given
have a
his
problem.
beard a little
He
bit
kinda
of
survived.
grey and
Logan
white.
begins to walk up, telling them, "You're the one who
Mr.
takes
Marvel,
Sabretooth,
because
right?"
he's the
Inferno tells
creator
him,
of Marvel.
Yeah, I did.
And
You better stay back. So Logan
Excelsior.
jumps, popping his claws, telling him, "There's something you should know. I'm not Sabretooth." As Logan pins Inferno down, he tells him that he needs to call his friend back and leave. This is about people's survival, and he would really not like to mess around. Inferno grabs Logan's arm and slams
Okay,
it
what?
into his shoulder,
Now
and
tell me
Inferno
what
melts
is
it down over
impossible
and torches
for an
Multi-Cloud
artist.
Destroyer. Iso
I will
looks at the
make
machine
a
and says that
video
it was
on that
impressive. It looks
topic.
like they're going to pull in the cloud
Just
and compress it
need
into a
an
solid
answer
state so they can
of this
incinerate,
question.
right? Forge says that's oversimplifying it, but basically yes. And
It's nothing impossible for an artist,
the big
mate.
round thing is the pressure vessel, right? Forge says, well, yes.
Nothing is
of course
important,
you would have
nothing
to.
impossible.
Oh, no. You got
Everything
some
takes
pressure.
practice,
Back with Inferno, Logan shouts,
and that's
"So
all you
what are
need when
doing?"
you're an
Logan
artist.
notices Inferno's skin begin to crack. Logan shouts,
Nothing at all is
"You little."
impossible,
And
babe.
Inferno
What do you
charges
mean?
Logan's body to the point of exploding. exploding. At the same time, Forge's machine explodes, and ISO radios in that she took care of things up here and has Forge knocked down. What about him? Inferno starts to crawl away from Logan's smoldering body, telling him, "You're like Sabretooth, right? Logan will probably be fine. Eventually." A short while later,
Because even
over
if
in
you
New
can't
Jersey, Miss Marvel
draw,
comes to
you
con,
can
simply
create with
building
your hands
her
by
clone
using
shooting
clay.
to ISO that
And
she's
if you
so
can't
glad
use
that
clay,
she's
and the only thing you
ISO
can
says,
use
"Yeah,
is a
she's okay,
computer,
she needs
you
her
can now,
clone.
there's
They need
brilliant
minds and
apps out there, free apps as well. If free apps out there to create digital art with. So there's nothing holding any artist back. And if you're a photographer, there's cameras on your phone that you can get cheap little cameras.
And says, "You know what? This ought to do it." Meanwhile, over at the mental tower of wisdom, Karnak follows the shadows of Jean down the stairs as she tells them that
That's what art is, mate. Art is a hobby. Yeah. That's how I started. It was just a hobby for me. And over time, I wanted to make a business and other things out of it. I started out with Stan Lee's work. I started drawing superheroes, then I went into doing cartoons. And after cartoons and stuff, I wanted to make them with my hands in clay. So I made them in clay. Well, I first started on plasticine, modeling clay. And over time, I just use different mediums. I use paint, as in oil paints. I'm not very good with oil paints, but acrylic paint I'm quite good with. In fact, I might be able to show you my back wall from where I live stream with my games. I have a camera which you can see me on. But that's what I've done in painting. I actually paint quite a bit. You got let's see there. You got Rick and Morty at the top, and dragons and all sorts of different things.
It's such a long video that we couldn't do it all in a single video. We didn't get 2 videos out this week, so we broke this one up. Hope you guys don't mind. Don't forget you can subscribe to the channel.
There's nothing an artist can't do, even if it's a hobby, mate. That's how all artists start. They start it out as a hobby, and over time they either choose between doing it as a full-time thing, or they go into do what we quote unquote normal jobs. But an artist is a job. You wouldn't have advertisement if you didn't have an artist. Let's just say that. Artists are also writers. And yeah, this art isn't just a hobby. It can be your own creation. Stan Lee is one of those main factors. And if people like your stuff enough, you can get it out there. Who knows who else? Sorry, hiccups. Who else and what else is going to be there? Who else? We've got these apps now called Instagram where I post every single picture I do, and I've got a few people sort of check me out from over there. Well, again, if you have done that, thank you very much for doing that. And if you're just checking this out because you like the picture of Stan Lee, awesome, good. Again, I have got absolutely a lot. I've done quite a few different videos. I've got my own character, which eventually I'll turn into a comic and an animation, which is Blue Angel.
Their psychics couldn't read his mind so long as he has his helmet on. As the portal closes, Mosaic says, "Right, I just need to make sure that no one sees me and avoid blondes and redheads and find an old man." Got it. Over in Limbo, where all of the
okay, mate. We'll check out the other videos, buddy. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully, have a nice dinner. Check out the other playlist there, buddy. And yeah, see what else you want to watch. I've got loads of different videos, different tutorials, and how to do's really. It's how to do Spider-Man. If you're a fan of drawing Spider-Man, and I do everything freehand. I never copy anything.
Things are about to get loud as he stomps. The sound of
as you can see,
travels down the spire to the cage breast.
As a Spidey, like I said, I never copy anything. Well, I copy an image, but I do it all in freehand. And every video is up there for you guys to go and check out.
Back over in the Burr facility, Mosaic phases through the walls until he finds and the rest going over their next plan.
They're all most of those other pictures are in Dark Month playlist. Okay, definitely go check that one out. But I will be continuing on with this month's theme, which is Dark Month.
Using Magneto's
And that's V
mind,
for Vendetta
just-
from Dark
Oh!
Month.
Storm asks,
Sorry, not from Dark Month, from Fire. Sorry, that's me, fake pen. From Fire and Fireworks. And I will be continuing that theme on next week. I'll go away, Mouse. I don't want to see what you're doing, Mouse. But as Stanley's, since Stanley passed away, I wanted to make an homage video. So that's what I've done.
Storm checks with Cerebro to locate the Blackbird, but she's told that the jet is already activating.
But if you want to learn how to do freehand, even if it's a hobby, check out the videos while you're having your tea or your dinner. That's what I do when I need to learn anything. I'll eat my food while I'm watching somebody. So then when I'm finished eating, I'm ready to get on with what I've got to get onto. I still learn from other people's videos, because there are certain things that I'm not very good at.
He should hopefully have a device that will teleport them out of there. She then tells Johnny that she wants to make sure that no one's on their flank. So he flies up telling her, this is getting real ugly. Fire begins to blaze upwards, creating a wall around the school. And Medusa says it is time for them to go. But before they leave, Naga tells Medusa to hang on, someone's coming. Through the flames, Colossus shouts, all right, my friends, who will be first? A little while later in New Jersey, Iso, Inferno, and Reader all discuss what they are going to do with Forge when they suddenly hear a Blackbird jet land next to them. Everyone gets ready to fight.
I will post this up on Instagram, guys, so you can see the full picture, because obviously the image is ever so slightly fuzzy in my phone camera. It's a lot better than the live camera I'm using now. But if you tune back in, the fuzziness seems to disappear. So I think it's something to do with it being live as well.
While inside of Magneto's body, he learned the Terrigen cloud is going to expand or something, but in a few days it will cover the Earth and kill all of the mutants, which is the reason that they.
And if you need a link
what it came down to for them was
to any of my videos, all you gotta do, guys, is click the link that I'm about to post now. I've just got to find the video. Give me a second or two.
Gorgon stops pushing Colossus back, and he tells Medusa that she may want to go on ahead.
If you want to check out the creator file, or you want to check out any of the playlists, I will post a link to my playlist. Just a second.
Colossus tells him yes. So
To the Dark Month playlist, which was last month's theme. I'm trying to find it quickly, so bear with me there, guys.
She can feel Black Bolt. He's here. The group walks a bit more, and a voice tells them that she's right. He's right here. For the moment, anyway. Medusa asks Haddock what he's doing, and he tells her that he really shouldn't have to spell it out. Don't take another step, and that isn't a bluff. Medusa says that she knows that he wants to unleash his power since Black Bolt killed Cyclops, but Haddock stops her, telling her that he heard that she was the one who gave the order. She tells him, yes, she did give the order, but she had no choice. And in a way, it seemed like he wanted it to happen. But if he was going to kill her husband, nothing will stop her, and his life will be over. Havoc gets ready to destroy the containment cube, and then he stops, telling her, you know, this whole thing isn't about the Terrigen. Okay, maybe not entirely about the Terrigen, but really it has to do with Emma. In fact, you know what? You want Black Bolt? Take him. We're still in limbo. It's not like they're going to go anywhere. Back in New Jersey, Iso wakes up Forge and begins to draw out his design for the Cloud Destroyer for everyone to understand. He says that that was their plan until Iso blew it up. Moon Girl, one of the smartest individuals in the Marvel Universe, possibly the smartest now, looks at it and asks why exactly did he design it that way. Forge says that he wanted it to work. And
there we go, guys. That one there is posted out now, so if you want to go check that one out, you can do just by hitting that link, or just going up above and checking out the other playlists that I've done.
After looking at it, actually, this is amazing. She just miniaturized the whole damn design.
So hopefully you have enjoyed today's video, guys, and have been inspired the same as I have by Stanley's work. If you want to check out anything else on my wall, definitely don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will be live every single day on YouTube and upload everything that I do from Mixer and over on Instagram. Blut084, BLUT084 Art and Games. Thank you very much for watching this stream today, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow for the continuation and digitization of this picture that I've done today. If you want to check any more out, guys, up in the playlist. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye for now.